Bureaucracies are organizations of non-elected official of a government or organization who implements the rules, laws, and functions of their institutions.
A formal organization is a social system organized around specific goals and consists of interrelated groups and subgroups.
Bureaucracies and formal organizations come along together with one specific goal to accomplish. Here we will present to you the ways in which they function in today's society. To begin with, bureaucracies have three main functions. The first one is promoting public good. This is like the National Institution of Health. They are the biggest fund for medical research. They create jobs for scientists around the country and world. Each of its 27 institutes and centers have a specific research purpose. They support innovative training programs to support exploration and creativity. Another public good is the Environmental Protection Agency. They help protect the health of humans as well as the environment by reducing air pollution, chemical waste, and enforcing clean water. They also have oversight responsibilities for the state programs. They are the ones that implement the environmental laws that are passed by Congress. Like the Institution of Health, they also have laboratories for research to solve problems of the environment. The second job is to protect the nation, such as the Coast Guard that defends the ocean borders and ports. They also aid in navigation and search and rescue, marine safety, and environmental protection. There is also the Central Intelligence Agency that collects information for analysis to protect the citizens of the United States. The agency is split up into four components that deal with public affairs, human resources, congressional affairs, legal issues, and more. The third job is to sustain a strong economy, like the Federal Reserve System and Securities and Exchange Commission. The Federal Reserve System supervises and regulates banks and other financial institutions. They protect the credit rights to consumers and oversee the nation's payment system. There are 7 members of the Board of the Governors that are appointed by the President and overlooked by the Senate.
Hierarchy of authority means that each employee of a school system is responsible to a higher authority. Teachers must report to principals and assistant principals and may also be supervised by department heads. Principals are answerable to a superintendent of schools, and the superintendent is hired and fired by a board of education. Teachers and administrators must conform to numerous rules and regulations in the performance of their duties. This bureaucratic trait can become dysfunctional. The time invested in completing required forms could instead be spent in preparing lessons and conferring with their students. The teacher is to report to the dean, who also carries on their own responsibilities. The dean is responsible for coordinating the assessment and development of academic programs within the college, preparing and revising as necessary academic program plans for the college, promoting and serving as a model for teaching, professional achievement, and professional service, overseeing all personnel matters involving academic and non-academic employees, including recruiting, appointment, reappointment, termination, and dismissal, faculty evaluation, tenure, promotion, and the preparation and approvals of faculty workload plans and long-range professional development plans, maintaining good working relationships with faculty and administration in all academic and non-academic areas. Vice President is the Chief Administrative Services Officer of the college and reports directly to the President. The Vice President is responsible for providing leadership and administrative oversight for planning and directing the college's businesses, office, human resources, and risk. The President directs the establishment of and has an understanding of and commitment to the university's mission, strategic goals and objectives, and and affirmative action. The district is the highest in the hierarchy of the formal organizations of school. Most students do not reach this stage without approval.
Even though bureaucracies and formal organizations are beneficial to our society, these companies and agencies have many people to provide with services. This creates the issue of alienation. An example would be like the Social Security Administration and the Department of Motor Vehicles. The Social Security provides part of the elderly's income. These services have been expanded to adults and children with disabilities, survivors, children of the beneficiary, and spouses. Unlike a doctor's office that refers to the patient by their name, clients are referred to as numbers. Most of us recognize the sound of
80 at window number 28. And G069 at window number 9. Now serving E005 at window number 14. Now serving G0.
This makes the consumers alienated from their identity. It also creates the frustration consumers face when they do not get the services in an ample amount of time. These circumstances make the client think that they are not important to the agency. These feelings can also apply to factory workers. Each employee has a specific job in the company. They do not get to view the end product of what they are producing, and it gives them no symbolic meaning to the finished product. As a result, it makes the workers feel used and unhappy with their jobs. Bureaucracies and formal organizations have a very structured system. This makes policies and procedures a very time-consuming process. They require regulation, approvals, and tons of paperwork. This can be from tickets to titles. All these rules make the system very inflexible. This is known as red tape. This means that the system cannot adapt to each individual's needs, due to the fact that it has to be approved by each level of personnel. It can take up to 10 to 15 business days. It can also make it very inaccessible to the public. Usual business hours are between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Most Americans are working during these times and have to miss out on work to fix issues or ask questions. An everyday example would be like the Department of Motor Vehicles. The Department of Motor Vehicles is responsible for recording ownership of vehicles, registrations, maintaining driving records, issuing identification cards, registering and recording ownership, maintaining records in accordance to laws, and more. As mentioned before, formal organizations and bureaucracies contain a hierarchy structure. This structure makes it difficult for each level of authority to communicate with one another. They often discuss conflicts or issues and ways in how to improve. Depending on which bureaucracy or formal organization, this can include, but is not limited to, production, services, and the company's goals. There are many different forms of communications. They can be contacted by meetings, phone calls, and electronic mail. However, because there are different levels, this makes it difficult for the employees' questions to be answered. It also makes it challenging for consumers to voice their concerns. Communications can also be misinterpreted because of the many levels that the individual has to pass through. If you've ever had the experience of having to ask a question to an employee and then being told that they do not contain this information and you have to be sent to several different people, then you have realized that communication is difficult. This is because each level knows a limited amount of information for their sector.
The iron law of oligarchy is a political theory that was developed by Robert Michels, who was a German sociologist who wrote on the political behavior of intellectual elites and contributed to the elite theory. He is best known for his book Political Parties, also said to shape the long-term development of all organizations, including the rhetorically most radical in a conservative direction. He states the historical evolution marks all the prophylactic measures that have been adopted for the prevention of oligarchy. The official goal of representative democracy of eliminating elite rule was impossible. That representative democracy is a facade legitimizing the rule of particular elite, and that elite rule that he refers to as oligarchy is inevitable.
To conclude, bureaucracies and formal organizations are essential to the working to our society. Bureaucracies provide the public with many services, and formal organizations aid in the order of maintaining a specific goal. The social issues that are related to these topics are communication, alienation, and red tape.
The United States does not have a plan to reduce red tape. An exception would be New Jersey, who contains a red tape review commission. They have made regulations less costly for organizations and nonprofit groups. The state says that it is essential for their economic growth. Other countries that would have red tape groups are Australia, Canada, and South Africa.
The way that they have reduced miscommunication is by having meetings with employees and also citizens so that they can voice their concerns and be able to discuss ways and how to improve their services.
For now, there is no solution for alienation. This is because one of the main reasons that alienation occurs is when the organization or agency begins to expand, in which helps them reach a further population.